Hey, if you've heard of Scrivener, but its complexity kind of intimidates you, then you're in luck. I'm going to be breaking down Scrivener into little digestible bites so you can maximize the software to write amazing stories. Hey friends, let's talk about Scrivener, particularly the Preferences Appearance tab. And by talk, I mean I talk and you leave comments down below. Ask me questions or tell me about your favorite Scrivener features. So today we are continuing the Preferences window, and we have done General, Editing, Behaviors, and now we're going to pop over here to Appearance. I'm going to pull it up so you can actually see the whole thing. You can see we have a lot to get through, so let's get going. The general interface, we are adjusting the window size to accommodate the binder and the inspector. And if you disable this, that just means that when you are toggling with the size, it'll kind of ignore these two things and it'll squinch them down really little or make them huge. So just make sure that that's checked if you use your binder and your inspector a lot. Resizing editors proportionally when resizing the window just means, again, that your editors are going to stay larger so that they're not little teeny weeny and unusable. Smooth text lines and arts in PDF documents. If you have PDFs you're bringing into here, this is default checked. The only reason why you should uncheck it really is that if you're having processing speed issues. So come in here and uncheck that, and maybe it will help with the speed. Drawing border around current line highlights. This is, okay, so I highlight the current line, and you can see that it pops up here, it's highlighted. So I come back to general interface, and if I uncheck this, then that border goes away, and I check it, and it comes back. And then opacity of label colors when used in backgrounds, and that's just over here. So if I'm toggling with this, you can see they get darker or they get lighter. So you can toggle that in here. Moving on to the binder over here. Show the current editor document indicator. We can see, so if I've got my two editors open, right? So this one is books, which is right here. And this one is scene right here. And we can see that scene is the main one that is selected, so it has this kind of extra highlight on it. And then books is the one that's over here. So this can just tell you real fast if you have two editors open, two things are highlighted. And I can turn that off so you see the scene kind of goes away. I think that this is really handy for kind of quick reference. But if you find it distracting, this is where you turn it off. And then base selection color on background color. So the background color of this, and if I disable that, you can see up here with books, it just kind of changes the color a little bit, not a big deal. And then right here, row spacing, if I want these rows to be spaced out more, I can change that. Or if I want them to be really squished together, I can do that too. It is default set to 4, and I think 4 is great. So fonts over here, you can set the fonts for everything over here, and then colors, you can set the colors. So if I want to set the binder background to all red, I can do that. But let's say I don't like that, go back to the default color. Search results background is purple, and you can change that too. So down here in composition mode, and in my behaviors video, I kind of talked about how to get to composition mode, but you go to view, and then composition mode. And I'm not going to go to it right now. You can try it out in your own Scrivener. So in composition mode, we can highlight the current line just like it's highlighted in here. And then inspector using the dark appearance. So right now it's kind of like a white screen with black bars on each side. And if you do dark appearance, then this screen darkens up. And these are just kind of ways to kind of tweak that composition mode. So regular scroller versus a full screen scroller, auto hiding, minimalist, etc. And that's just that, scroll bar on the side. And the margins, so you can make the margins big or small. And yeah. And then as far as colors go, this is just all the different colors for your text places. If colors are very important to you, then I would recommend opening up your composition mode and fiddling around with these to your heart's content. Alrighty, so the corkboard. So we have opened up the corkboard. There it is. So allow 2 lines in the title area. You can see right here we've got 1 line, and if I click this, I can have 2. So if you have long titles, this might be of interest to you. Or you can automatically shrink your titles to fit 1 line. Either way. Minimum font size, if you want to change that. It doesn't look like you can, but I'm sure that if I had the different thing selected, it would let me change anyway. So arranging cards from right to left. Right, they are default arranged from left to right, but if you want them the opposite direction, this is what you would click to get there. And then when you have images kind of independently inside your corkboard, they kind of show up as looking like kind of little Polaroid things. And so that's how that is. And if you click off of this, then it will display them as a card, and it will say like this card has an image in it, and you have to open it to see the image. Compress threads when arranged by label. View, corkboard options, arrange by label, and it sets it up like this. So compressing threads means that, like right here, they kind of overlap a little bit. So they kind of make like a zipper effect. And so if you don't want that, it will spread them out. And then image cards, use index card proportions. And like I said, the images usually show up as little Polaroids. And if you want them to match the size of these, if size matching is important to you, then click that. Freeform grid size is just when you've got your freeform grid view set up, this is how big that grid will be. So when you're dragging it around, that's what it's snapping to. The shadows around the cards, if I disable it, it just takes those shadows away, as you can see on that card there. And then the status stamp. So let's go back to, so this is the status stamp right here, these guys. If I want them to really stand out, or if I don't want them to not stand out much at all. And then the freeform grid, if you want it to show up, you can make it stand out. Fonts, change the fonts of your index cards, and then colors, changing what all the colors are. Full screen mode, we go to view and enter full screen. This is what happens. It's like one of those kind of minimalist, it keeps all the distractions gone. When I go into full screen mode, I can hide my binder and inspector, so it's only the editor that shows up. If I choose to do that, if I choose to hide them, then I can also choose to slide them in when I move my mouse to the edge of the screen. And then always auto hide the toolbar in full screen mode. I can select that too, if that's what, if I want my full screen to be kind of more minimalist, I can have that selected. So index cards, so since we're in here, theme, let's see, lined. So now lines show up on here, so they'll look like they're lined. I can also make them rounded and rounded and lined. So, you know, just however you want it to look. And then always show the synopsis rather than the image by default. So right now it's the default will be the image shows up, but if I want to click on this, then the synopsis shows up rather than an image. I can change the fonts on my cards, and I can change the color of the index cards. Now I have mine colored to go with my labels, but if you want to use a different color, this is where you change it. The inspector and notes, here are the notes, so there's my notes. Here's the inspector, and I can have lines down here with my notes if I want. And I can also change the colors for the backgrounds. The main editor, and the main editor is like this right here. Okay, so I'm in the main editor. And this is where I highlight my current line, so I can toggle that on and off there. And the default editor width is this many. If you want it thicker, smaller, whatever, this is where you change that. Use a fixed width editor. You can kind of see we've got this margin over here, and here's my 0, and then this margin over here is my 9, my 8. If I click this off, then that happens. So it just is, it does whatever it wants. And then, so if I'm using my fixed width, it keeps those margins there. If I don't have the fixed width, I probably do. So if I turn my fixed width off, then this will all kind of bounce over to the side, and it takes away that little buffer of area on the other side of that 0, and then also on the other side of the 9. So if I'm using my fixed width, I can choose to center it, or if I click that off, it will left justify. If I want to edit the margins, let's say, let's do 50, and it will make those margins bigger. So if you have a particular size of margins and stuff that you like to use, then this is where you're going to change that. It's also where you will change the font of this up here, the header bar. You know, also the colors for everything. So, yeah, this is where you change all of that. So the outliner, my favorite view. Let's go to the outliner. So here's my outliner, my baby. It has horizontal grid lines, but only when using fixed row height. So I'm going to turn that off, and here come my grid lines. So if that's easier visually for you, this is where you toggle that. And you can also put on vertical lines to kind of separate it out better. Using alternating row colors, it's not going to show up me selecting it because I have these enabled, the background colors for the labels, but if you don't have those, then you can select alternating row colors to kind of make your rows stand out better. Indenting the title column if available, and then the total columns, they only count documents that are included in your compile. So if you're only interested in stuff in here that's going to go on your compile, you click that, and it will take stuff out that's not clicked to be included in your compile. And then row spacing, bigger, smaller. Again, we change our fonts and how we change our colors. So the page view, and the page view is kind of cool because this is, if you are transitioning over from Microsoft Word, this can make the transition a little bit easier for you. So first I'm going to just select a particular scene or a word or a text document, and then come up here to view, text editing, and show page view. So boop, we see that it kind of changed and it resembles like Microsoft Word. It has this little border on the side, and then down here we can also see pages. It'll separate out your text documents into pages instead of just that long single thing that the Scrivenings view does. So to make this look the way you want it to in the page view, you can select it to default show the page view in new projects, and it won't affect what I have already when you open new projects. This is how it will show up. The facing pages is when it's 2 pages. So you'll have page 1 right here, page 2 right here, and then page 3, page 4, and so on. And you can set that up to be the default in new projects. If you don't center the page, it will look like that. Showing margin guides. So if I turn the margin guides on, it shows you where your margins are. And then the shadow around the page, you can see the shadow right here. Turn that off, turn that on. I like the shadow, so I'll leave it on. Spacing between pages, if I had another page down here, it's just how much space goes between the 2 pages. And if you want it to be bigger or smaller, this is where you change that. And then base the page view size on how we have things set up in here. And colors the background, so that's this thing right here, change that background color. All right, your quick reference tabs thing. So if I want to open as a quick reference, so this pops up. That is what we are fiddling with at the moment. So quick reference, we're going to highlight the current line, but I can turn that off so it doesn't. And then the editor margins, that just changes how big this is. And then we can mess with the colors in here. So that's basically it. That's that feature. The Scratchpad, and I kind of went over the Scratchpad before, you may not remember it. So we go to Window and Show Scratchpad. So here's my Scratchpad popped up, Preferences. And I can change the background to be whatever I want it to be. I'm going to use the default color. So that's what you can do in the Scratchpad. So on here with the Scrivenings, so I'll click in here, go to open up my Scrivenings preferences. So the separator right here, this dashed line, if I want to change it to, let's change it to a divider. So it changes to a divider. Or I can make it these little corner thingies. And then also, if this were a script, it won't show up because I don't have it kind of selected for script rating, but it's the same thing. You can change this around. So this is page layout view. So if I'm going to use the page break separators and page layout, and if I say before text documents, if I click this and see it, it expands it out. So this is one page. This is scene. And then this right here is scene A. And this right here is the sub-scene. So it will kind of split all of your pages if that's how you want it to be arranged for later. Otherwise, it will just put them all in like this and add in these separators there. All right, so titles. As you can see, it says turn Scrivenings titles on via the View text editing menu. So if we do that, View text editing, show titles in Scrivenings. So let's turn that on, and hey, look, titles show up. So we'll go into preferences, and so I want to center the titles, but if not, they'll just pop over there. I can underline them and use the background color for the ones that aren't already selected for background color. And then I don't want to show the separators, but if I did, I can enable that to show the separators. And in here, font, and as you can kind of see right here, so books is 20 font size, scene is 18, If I come down here to sub scene, it'll be 16, and they go down by 2 font points for every kind of sub per level. It goes down by 2 font sizes, and this is where you do that. If you want them all to be exactly the same, you would change this to 0, and it'll keep them all the same. And then you can set the minimum so you don't have stuff that's like in font size 4 and down here. And then in colors, this is where you set all of that. So snapshots, so these are my snapshots that I've had set up before. Text background is in here, that's what that means. And then if I want to change deleted text, so if I do compare, this is what shows up. And if you want to change the colors, so the deleted text is red, and I deleted that. And the new text shows up as blue, and then the original text unchanged is the black. If you want to change these colors, this is where you change those colors in the appearance tab, snapshots. To target progress bars, and these are kind of neat. So you can see down here, this little target bar. Let's open up, so if I show project targets, this as well shows up. So so right now, this will be blue, this will be the same color blue until I get all the way to 100%, and then it will change to green. So let's change this to like 100. Oops, my bad. Let's change this to 400, so this is less. Oh, let's change it to like 600. So it's the same blue, the same blue. If I change it to 300, it's still the same blue. If I change it to 209, now it pops to green, but it's like 210, it's blue again. So there's no gradient. But if I click on this and it's a gradient, let's see what happens. So at 209, it's this green color. So let's change it. So it's blue over here. And we'll change it to 500. You can kind of watch the color kind of grade up, so it's kind of more aqua now. And let's change this to 250. So it is a gradient. If you have this unchecked, it's not the smooth transition, it's just blue, 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 green. But this one, it's like blue, bluish green, aquamarine, greenish blue, and then green. And it's just whatever your preference is. Show progress bars in the quick search. So the quick search is up here, this bar right here. So if I search for something, let's search for certificate, it shows up here, and this is that progress bar. So that will show up in the quick search. If I don't want that there, I can turn it off and it will go away. And if I want to use custom colors, that's on this side. So my start color is this blue, the end color is this green. When they hit the halfway point, I can change it to something different if I want. I can change it to pink. So after I hit the halfway point, so I start in blue, and then once I hit halfway, it goes bing to pink. And then when I end, it goes to green. And if I overflow, it'll turn red. So that's where I change those colors. That's just fun to give yourself something to shoot for. Textual marks. This is basically like how your text will be marked up, including invisible characters, hyperlinks, and that kind of thing. So showing invisible characters when selecting text is like your line breaks, carriage returns, page breaks, tabs, like that kind of thing. And underlining links, if you don't like your links underlined, this is where you can turn that off. If you want to hide your markup, which you get to, so go to View, Text Editing, and Hide Markup. So I can click this, and so turn these off, right? So hiding markup, so I have hiding markup turned on. And then in here I can select what counts for hiding markup. So I don't want my comments highlighted. And this is a comment that's highlighted, so if I click this, my highlights go away. My footnote highlights, I can take that out, but I don't have any displayed up here, so it won't change anything. I'm gonna hide my links, so those go away. Boxes around styled text. I don't have any styled text, so those won't matter. And then preserve, I want to preserve formatting markup. Colors over here, so insertion point, that's like where my mouse is clicked, so we can see I've got my little blinking cursor right there. So if I go to preferences and I change this to nothing else apparently, so I can change it to this color. I click out here and now it's this color, as we can see. I'm gonna use the default. I like black cursors. Invisible characters, okay. So let's go to View, Text Editing, and Show Invisible. So that's what this means. These are visible. So these are like my carriage returns or my paragraphs, right? And these will show up as blue if that is something that you like to have visible when you are writing. Or you can change it to whatever color you want. Inspector footnotes will be this color. Links will be that color, and so on and so forth. If you are searching something, it will highlight whatever you're searching for, and that is yellow by default. You can change that, and then it will be underlined in this color. So yeah, that's the appearance tab. These two, so behaviors and appearance, are both pretty robust, so the videos are really long. So I'm so sorry if it felt rushed. I just didn't want this to be like a 50-minute long video of me rambling. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning into this video. And I hope that you learned something cool and useful about the Scrivener appearance and kind of how you can use that to make your Scrivener act exactly the way you want it to. Act and look exactly the way you want it to. And if you like this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Wash your hands, Black Lives Matter, and have a nice day.